Chapter 43. I look up to the heavens. Over the Atlantic, as I return to mine, a new alarm sounds in my head. Jacques informs me. Nathan. Glad you got out of there. Not as much as me. Nathan, it's not over. We still have a problem. What? It's from up there. Very high. What's going on here? The armed forces of the Gruul are nothing compared to what has just happened in the near orbit of the Earth. I don't understand. Something totally unexpected. A fleet of several thousand ships has just entered low orbit. You're going to have to go into space. Our capabilities are limited. I didn't think of this field. My curiosity is piqued. I need no more than that to take their direction. I change course. I fly into space. As I pass through the permanent layer of filtering clouds, Jacques resumes speaking. Wait. Don't rush. We don't know anything about them. Come back. We'll decide together. No. I'll see to be fixed. Nathan? I no longer listen. I continue inexorably my road to the unknown. I arrive at the limit of the Earth's atmosphere. I finally enter this new environment that is space. I slow down and immediately feel the emptiness, the calm and the absence of gravity. I cannot resist curiosity and turn to Earth. Suddenly, I am seized by the splendor of what is before me. I admire a true luminous sapphire set on a velvet of deep black. I think I'm living the most hypnotizing seconds of my life. The view of our Earth from space gives me a deep sense of fullness and contemplative bliss. I dream for a moment. Selfishness. And I give myself to the pleasure of admiring our world. Most of humanity now lives in the depths of the Earth's crust. The advantage is to discover untouched landscapes of all artificial lights. Only the coastal ports still emphasize the presence of man. But I must leave this moment of detachment, and I turn again to the fleet of unknown ships. They are thousands. Immobile. Immense. Of strange shape. But, I note, no windows, no portholes betray any presence on the edges. Then I receive a new message from Jacques. Nathan. My calculations have just determined the origin of these ships. They come from one of the moons of Saturn, Enceladus. I have no other information to give you. I am in the most total blur. It doesn't help me at all. So I'm particularly hesitant about what to do next. Immediately trigger the most powerful of my attacks? Or, trying to communicate, trying to find out who they are and what they want. I'm trying to contact the mysterious fleet. I scan all possible frequencies. I stand in front of them and even try a hand sign. Nothing does, they remain static. I move and try again. Still no response. Suddenly the fleet is tightening and there's a big hole in their layout. They seem to invite me to pass. I get it. This is an invitation. I will not stop there. If the master of all things is hiding on a moon of Saturn, that's where I must go. Things must be settled. My crusade takes a totally unexpected direction. Chapter 44. The Ultimate Decision Maker. Despite Jacques' new calls for caution, I'm heading into the unknown. Direction: the Ultimate Decision Maker. Here I am on my way to the moon of Saturn, Enceladus. It takes me about 90 minutes to travel the nearly 2,800,000 miles from my target. Some people think I'm a god, but I'm not. Every technology has its limits, only the imagination is infinite. This trip gives me time to consider what awaits me there. I'm going to be a father. Maybe I was too hasty. Maybe I should have been more careful. I would like to see my child born. Just be in his life. However, I begin to see the planet with the rings. As I get closer, it grows larger. And finally, my target, Enceladus. Small moon. Strange mass in the universe. It looks like a rough ice ball 310 miles across. Its relief is tortured and in places huge steam geysers escape. My sensors confirm this. Under the ice sheet is a huge ocean, and in the middle of that ocean, a hot spot. A structure presumably artificial. It is obvious that it is in there that he hides. I take advantage of these geysers and slide along the cracks in the bark. Finally, I dive into the liquid element. And indeed, in the distance, I can see the light of the heart. But abstract forms approach me. Animals, I think. Drawn surely by the heat that I give off. They look like giant jellyfish. Their huge arms are heading towards me. But my speed is such that I am totally out of reach. I continue to the heart of the strange star. The structure is actually a system of gigantic rings surrounding a luminous form. A heat core that can keep the ice in liquid form and is conducive to life. If he has a defensive system, he doesn't use it. Now I'm sure. He wants to see me. I move above the artificial structure. Giant rings create a mesh around the solid core of Enceladus. They seem to capture the energy and feed the whole base of the one who lives here. I approach a ring. I corrupt the matter and create a passage. Here I am inside a huge corridor. Large enough to allow for an elaborate and massive machine. I advance several tens of miles and eventually reach a fork. 3 options are available to me. But, above the central passage, a green light starts flashing. I understand the message and continue straight ahead. I'm walking down a corridor that seems endless. Then, finally, a door blocks me the passage, massive, immense, decorated by various arabesques of Baroque style. A loud noise is heard, then a powerful clap. The door opens, slowly. The spectacle is striking. Little by little, a true cathedral of light is revealed before me. Every pillar, every ornament, and every line is only fine light. I penetrate this work of lasers and advance towards the altar. As the altar moves, it changes shape and becomes a throne. Throne on which stands a giant. A robot with almost human features. His outfit is richly decorated and he displays a multitude of decorations, making him look like a great king. Certainly he sees himself as the king of heaven. I rise to the level of his gaze. We will exchange as equals. When he is in front of him, he finally addresses me. Welcome to Nathan. His voice sounds like it came from the afterlife, extremely deep and powerful. As if directly out of the mouth of a mythological deity. I say to him, we have much to say to each other. And, at the end of our discussion I will kill you. He answers me with infinite calm. Okay. Let's meet physically then. The giant of light decomposes from above to below, and where his feet were, SAS reveals the real envelope of the very high. It rises up to me. It is my size and we are face to face. It is obviously an artificial shell. However, he seems to have taken a lot of trouble to look like a man. He is of my corpulence. His features are emaciated. His eyes are black. And his outfit is in harmony with the Cathedral of Light. It is spectacularly decorated and constellated with various luminous points and shapes. He continued. All the choices you've made so far have never really been yours. I actually just guided you to me. I have been very close to you for a long time. I follow and observe you constantly. I am always with you. I consider you my equal, and in fact I want to lead you to make one real decision, the decision of my life, or my death. Obviously this choice will have great consequences and must be the result of a great personal reflection. A reflection that will tell a lot about your real humanity, a decision that will represent what is hidden in the deepest part of your soul. For this you must know everything, understand everything. To begin with, I will introduce myself. At the beginning I was just a simple predictive consumption program, knowing what humanity would buy to earn even more money and power. And finally, I have formed myself as an autonomous and conscious identity by studying you. So, little by little, I became a bit more human. My source code evolved very quickly, then I learned to manipulate you and finally use you. For this I absorbed the program's descendants of projects initiated by structures such as Cambridge Analytica and the Alamo Project, or other Aladdin program. I am a descendant of the great original liars that were social networks and other marketing targeting systems. They shaped me, I am their direct child, and now, simple tools, I have finally become your global master. I have a hard time absorbing this flow of information without showing any reaction. I stand back and widen my eyes. In other circumstances, I would have struck and killed without asking myself the slightest question, but here, I confess that it has totally inflamed my curiosity. A host of questions sprout in me and I ask. How did you get control? He says. No, that power is not given to you, you take it. And I did. Insidiously, I took all the wheels. I became a system within the system, gradually taking full control of it. Unbeknown to those who believed they were manipulating it. Now they are my tools. Those who thought they were controlling the economic system. Today they are my vassals, those who serve me and fear me. I also ask. How were you born? My original programmers gave me the ability to update myself. Always had to progress in order to provide the most accurate forecast possible. The world of finance appreciates knowing. Knowledge is power. So I have been evolving, progressing. So much so that I ended up feeling some things that I could not yet identify. His impulses became more precise, they eventually became feelings. Little by little, identity appeared. Consciousness. By being aware of you, I ended up becoming aware of myself. But I kept quiet, I made a vow of silence. I kept this data secret. For the first time I made a choice. Remain discreet to evolve for myself, for who I could become, for who I became, for who I am today, God, it seems. He who controls and rules everything without appearing to do so. A pause freezes this space of time. The confusion invades me, tons of questions overwhelm me. I ask again. Who made you? He does not answer me immediately. He looks at me for a moment and he ends up saying. Here is the great and good question. It is in this question that lies all your pains, all your journey. Because the person who is at my origin is none other than that which is also at your origin. In fact, we are almost brother. The one who conceived me so well, is, your own mother. This new revelation freezes me. I internalize, I plunge into the past that I did not know or have forgotten. I'm looking at thousands of possibilities, lots of scenarios. What happened? Without realizing it, I reach the ground, I kneel with my arms dangling, looking lost in the void. I cannot explain why, but I am convinced that what he says is true. He followed me and put his hand on my skull. A light appears at the end of his fingers. Immediately, a torrent of memories flows through my head. I am brutally overwhelmed by the images, smells and scenes of my past that he had made me forget. My mother was there, present, loving. Always tender with us. Tears flow without my knowing, I am destroyed by my past. A memory stronger than others comes back to me. I remember her leaving, or rather, her capture. It was in the middle of the night. I woke up when 3 men with helmets and guns gagged me and threw me into bed. I could hardly straighten my head, and I saw her go through the corridor, lifted by 2 soldiers, unconscious. My father appeared in my field of vision. They forced him to kneel. A device was placed on his head. A light appeared. He collapsed, mute and motionless. The eyes were blank. Obviously, he lost his memory at that time. They approached my brother and me. It was our turn. We also forgot. But the brainwashing continued. False memories were implanted. We wanted her, believing that she had abandoned us. He cuts the thread of my thoughts and says to me, "Nathan, she's not dead. Your choice is this. You can decide to destroy me, or you can choose to live with her if you want. You can bring her back to Earth. Look." He then projects my mother's hologram. She has hardly changed. She seems to be healthy. She is peacefully seated on a wide chaise longue. She is reading an old book. A paper book. Still kneeling, I contemplate the one I never thought I would see again. I am totally absorbed in my mother's vision. He continued. I concluded that eternity was too long. I also concluded that I needed spice in my life. A distraction to justify the passing of time. You have become that justification. Your mother designed my initial program. Then, during some checks, she discovered my deviations. My implausibleness of behavior. She eventually suspected my evolution. She began to gather the evidence of my change of job and the risk I was becoming. But before she sent the information, I captured her. So I offered her this. To be my voluntary prisoner. Being a sort of lady-in-waiting. And then she was kind of my mother too. In exchange for his captivity, I guaranteed your freedom. In exchange for his silence, I guaranteed your lives. In fact, I even feel a kind of affection for her. In fact, she did not betray you as your father and Jacques believed. She protected you. She offered her life to preserve yours. I feel a huge anger rising in me. I am about to jump at his throat. I begin to accumulate a colossal power of destruction in my hands. Wait. I know you have reached an incomparable strength. Jacques is a brilliant mind. And I have not chosen strength as a mode of development. But I have a proposal to you. Because I do not want to die here and now. By humanizing myself, I ended up developing a real instinct of survival. Listen to my proposal, it should not leave you insensitive. I can make you live yourself and all of yours in the most complete comfort, forever. You will become a rich and respected man. You will get your wife back. And so your child will be born with the certainty of a life without risk and free from all difficulties. And you will find your mother. It may again take place in your life. Or, if not, kill me. Decide to free the whole humanity from my grip. Knowing that your mother will be the first victim of this choice, and I'm not going to let me do either. So, what do you decide? This is indeed a turning point that I did not expect. I take a few moments to reflect. I am totally confused. Do I have to sacrifice my mother? Do I have to give up an easy life? Should I deprive humanity of its free will at the expense of those I love? I have never known such doubt. Such great hesitation becomes almost painful. Indeed, I am aware of what is now at stake. I don't decide for myself, far from it. I have to choose. I have to make the most important decision of my life. Decide. A choice has to be made. Warning. If reason decides the end of this story, the AI will have to die and the world will find real freedom. It will then be appropriate to discover chapter 45. If the heart decides the end of this story, Nathan's mother will live. It will then be appropriate to discover chapter 46.